Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Blink Podcast. This is episode 10, season 2. Really excited about this episode because with the market the way it is, the environment the way it is, the way you are right now, we wanted to give you 9 key insights to make you better in creating real change in your life. All right, let's get underway because I really think this topic for this time of the market, the way the environment is, the way some of us are feeling, we need some real key tools to be able to get us on the move, create some great change in our lives, and really get us moving in a much purposeful direction. And I want to welcome in my co-host, Creaky, from across the ditch. How are you, mate?
Good, Darren. Hello, folks. Good to see you again. Thanks for listening. Episode 10. I think we're pretty close to reaching the amount of episodes we made for the whole of season 1. And we're not even halfway through the year.
No, but we're pretty close to halfway through the year, I might point out. This year's going so fast, mate. I'm finding this year's racing by.
All our kids are growing up, having birthdays.
I know. It's out of control.
Happy birthday to little Brookie for tomorrow.
Yes. Happy birthday, Brookie. My daughter, who's turning 6. Oh, my Lord.
Number one fan of the show, buys all the merch.
She does. She's very, very supportive. I think she gets to test drive most of the merch. Right? That's just good. Yes.
And some good news in the market. It's not all doom and gloom. Victorian Melbourne property has gone up. The fastest it's gone up in the last 15 months. It's bounced back.
Wow. So what we've had is we've had the lowest rate of reduction in prices in the last 12 months. So last month in our main markets were less than 1% drop in value in that year, in that month.
So you might be bottoming out and about to come back.
And because of that, we've got a whole lot of buyers that are now quickly scrambling to get back into the market. Mortgage brokers are starting to say, "Jeepers, we've got to get some money sorted because as this market starts to improve, we get back to that whole scarcity thing again." And I think that's only not too far on the horizon. So yeah, hey, we've been through a pretty turbulent time, but hopefully we can start to see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, maybe this is how we differ in the markets, is that for some reason, despite there being a housing crisis, governments, state governments, not so much federal governments, making it almost impossible for people to own investment properties. They're coming after them. Like if you've got an investment property, you are considered uber elite here in Australia now.
Right.
Where for most self-employed people, it's actually their superannuation retirement that's appreciating. So they've just put new taxes on those, particularly here in Victoria. The top bloke that we've got running this joint has gone again. Not that I want to get too political, Darren. I am apolitical. I don't vote because as a journalist, I chose not to go either way. But finally, I think they're all idiots, to be honest. Let's not get into it. We should have a political podcast. Just let me unload, get the weight off my shoulders. Come on, I'm ripping at it. And I forgot my path. But anyway, the market is bouncing back. But here's the problem. We've got a rental shortage. We've got a housing affordability shortage. And for some reason, the Brains Trust has decided that Australia needs an extra 600,000 people from overseas to come and live here and work. And it's like, we've got businesses who can't get workers, so that's fair enough. You need to bring in workers, but those workers need somewhere to live.
Yeah.
And the head of the Reserve Bank's response was, well, you can all just move into share houses, sleep on a couch. That literally what he said. It's not ideal.
This is crazy. We've got the same, mate. We've just had the biggest amount of immigration into New Zealand. So they're talking about 65,000 people coming into New Zealand. Now, we are short of labour big time, so that's going to be a help. But you're exactly right. This is the problem we're having, is that where do they live? Where do they stay? And because of our rules around rental property, a lot of people have disposed of rental property, saying it's not worth investing in that area anymore and pulling out. So we've had a massive reduction in private rentals. Also, because of the new rental rules, we've had a lot of owners saying, well, let's just get out of long-term property renting and actually go more for the Airbnb models. So, that's outside of the rules. So basically, they've been getting still great returns by having their properties Airbnb. So it just takes them out of the rental property pool. So it is causing some real challenge. And that's when I say, I think once we get this confidence that interest rates are not going to go up anymore and the world's going to settle down a bit, I think we're going to get this market going again, reasonably steadily. So, which is good to hear. So I just, I just sort of feel we're moving in the right direction. I know it is challenging out there, but we've still got to keep positive and go, there is going to be some opportunity at the end of this.
It really is. I mean, we don't want to get too World Economic Forum style discussions here, but the way that I sit here and go, we're on a treadmill of everything having to always get more expensive.
Yeah.
And for all countries to always have more humans.
Yeah.
But the commentary that we're being fed by governments and the trend of the mood of the moment is that the last thing the world needs is more humans.
Yeah.
So if you want to be clean, green, and sustainable to save the planet, then the last thing any country should be searching for is more humans. But the problem is the system doesn't work unless you're continually growing.
But you see, you've got many countries around the world right now that are starting to get to their population rates are actually declining, because there is a trend away from, 4, 5, 6 kids in a family. We're now 1s and 2s, and in many cases, no kids in a family. And what we're starting to see is this real reduction in the birth rate. So yes, you're right. I mean, across the planet, we've grown, we're talking about over 8 billion people on the planet right now. Now we're in a situation where everyone's starting to go, actually, some of these countries are going to start looking like a lot of people are in that retirement end of the game with not a lot of, productive, tax-paying, aged people in their economies, which is going to put a lot of pressure on.
Well, that's right. You need the workforce below them to be able to pay for them.
Keep this high super going, and that's when you start saying, well, we're taking investment property out of the reach of everybody who sort of feels like that's their superannuation plan for the future. I just go, okay, well, do that, but what's plan B? Because if you are going to be in that pool of people in that retirement age that are looking for the support, then the government's not going to be necessarily there to provide a large amount of to have a lifestyle. It's more just sustaining your life.
This is where I start to think that people like my parents and yourself really did live through the golden era.
That's pretty amazing.
Oh, sorry, that was a joke. That probably didn't land properly, that I put Darren in the same age as my parents, which was a little bit cheeky of me.
You're older than I am. What are you talking about? Right, anyway, let's get on to today's topic, shall we? Should we get on to today's topic?
Okay, Darren.
I love that economic theory piece, because I seriously,
just a little bit of a rant. But I think what's happening is, and I think this is part of it too, and we're human. We get caught up in everything that's going on. But the trick is to catch yourself and not get caught up in this doom and gloom. Not to buy into the Chicken Little scenario that the world is falling in.
Yeah.
Both countries, Australia and New Zealand, are both incredible countries for people who need to bounce back. I don't think there's two countries in the world more suited to the fight back scenario than Australia and New Zealand. They are two countries that, as long as you can park your ego, there is always an opportunity to make money. Always.
Yep, love it. That's
And
it.
so today, shush, Siri, she's listening to everything. We're going to be talking about how you can create real change, how you can make yourself better, get yourself out of, we've done episodes on the funk and all that sort of stuff. And we're sort of moving in that direction again because we keep hearing these patterns from the same people over and over again. I was in Sydney during the week doing a training. I haven't got enough stock. I haven't got enough listings.
Yeah.
Oh, really? What are you doing on social media?
Nothing.
Well, what sort of budget have you got to advertise yourself and get more listings? I haven't got any budget. Oh, what are you doing on social media?
Nothing.
Not a lot. Oh, I'd probably start there. What do you reckon? Because it's free.
I want us to talk, though, really about the insights that actually make you better, right? Because, we did talk about the funk, and I think that's a real mental positioning piece, right? But I think with some of this that we've got today, I think it's about the insights to actually make you better and be determined that you have control in this. And I think that this is, for me, is a great topic for being able to start getting people to start getting more purposeful about where they're going and actually making sure they actually go there. So, it's some great headers, and I think this is a really good positioning piece for many people to head in the new journey.
It really is the next step, isn't it? Once you identify that you're a bit stuck,
Yep,
set
definitely.
yourself a North Star. Set
Yep.
yourself something to aim at. And then it almost by default, if you go back to Bob Proctor's law of attraction, if you know where you're heading, then you're not going to go backwards because you're always moving forwards.
Yep,
Right?
definitely.
So you have somewhere to go, and just all you got to do is keep moving. So let's get on to number one. And number one is you've got to decide to take control. Tell us about that.
I just go, this one, me, is just the best starting point, right? Because a lot of people in their lives have this situation where they sort of go, oh, Darren, the market's bad. I've been struggling with this. This hasn't been going so well. And when I try to make something happen, something else comes along and distracts me. And, I've tried to do this before. And, I've tried to get into health and fitness, but I haven't really done much. And I've been distracted by doing that. And it all just becomes a real mismatch of intent, but actually starting things off and then letting them be distracted by other things that are happening in your life to take you away from where you want to go is actually the thing that's stopping you being successful. So I just go, hey, how about just deciding to take control? Just decide that I'm going to be purposeful about taking my life in the direction that I want it to go and not what I'm going to get given. So I'm going to be purposeful and I'm going to take control and drive my life into a direction that I want to go.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And, we were talking about this earlier in the week, and I put this into action. I was up away in Sydney for training. I said, when I get back, I'm going to start walking and running every morning. And when I was up there, I thought, we'll start it today. Why wait? Let's just do it.
Yep,
On
love
the
it.
treadmill, smashed it out, and had a great day. Less nerves, less stress. Just went straight in. I felt better about myself, and away you go. So it's great. Take control, because at the end of the day, you control your brain. I talk to my brain all the time as if it's a different operation.
Nice.
Especially at night. It's like, shut up. I've noted that. I've written it down, and now we're going to sleep.
Right. Just take control of it, right? Take control. Right. Actually decide that this is where you want to go. And this is where I think number two for me is really important here, because it's about that ability to have some self-reflection. So having that ability to go, I'm going to make some decisions here about exactly where I'm going to go, but I'm also going to take a little bit of time to be a little bit reflecting on exactly what distracts me, what takes me out of the direction I need to go, and ultimately what are the things that stop me getting what I want. And
Yeah.
I see this most of the time as most people don't do that self reflection and just expect that the world is all going to be rosy and follow their direction, because we all know in life it's not going to happen like that. There's going to be challenges. It is going to be difficult. You know, you are going to have your moments where you go, oh my Lord, how did I end up here? But then on the other side of that coin, you've got to go actually do some self reflection. Why did you end up there? Make sure you make some decisions that you're not going to do it again or not position yourself there again.
Yeah. I would call that self-awareness.
Yep, yep. But to get
Self
self but to get self awareness, you've got to reflect on where you've been and what you've done and what stopped you and what's got you where you are. Because actually, by being aware of that and actually understanding that a lot of the times where we've end up isn't necessarily external. A lot of it is what we've done to position ourselves in that place. But obviously, there is in life some bad luck, right? There's stuff that happens to people that is just sheer bad luck. And you just have to also accept that you can't change that. That's what happens, unfortunately, in life. And it's how you move forward from that. So just doing some reflecting on that and actually making some decisions that's what's happened in the past isn't going to determine what you're going to get in the future.
Yeah, don't dwell on it. Don't go back and get stuck in there. I met a wonderful real estate agent. She just recently had a baby. She started her own office, and she's had breast cancer all in the last 12 months.
Wow.
And I was sitting there absolutely in awe of her, that here she was in her office starting a new business in this market, literally only has a handful of listings to get her through. Like, she is right on the precipice of it. Like, only a couple of bad months away from having to close it all down. But she's having a crack. And
Yeah.
she's sitting there saying, you know what? It's time to go. It's time to do this. And just because I've had bad luck in the past doesn't mean I have bad luck in the future. I'm just going for it. And it's like,
That's
how good's
awesome.
that? It's almost like that Ice Cube quote, right? Don't complain about the work you didn't get for the work you didn't put in.
100%.
Right?
100%. Because that's the bit, right? And when you and I, we see this every bloody day, right? And it really, it irks me when people have this expectation that they're going to be successful or they want to be successful, but they don't want to put the work in. And
Yeah.
then when you ask them to self-reflect on it, they go, well, maybe it's someone else's fault. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
no, it's not. It's actually yours. But unless you're going to do some self-reflection and understand that, you're never gonna move in the direction you're going to need to. So, I think that number two is really, it's a good place to do a bit of review, but then not carry it forward too much.
Darren just got a message. Is it just John Shackleton messaging you then, Darren, on your computer that he's down the bar waiting for you? Is that what
No,
that
no,
noise
no.
was?
I
No?
was a client with a question, but I'll do it after.
John Shackleton's got a question. When did he become your client? No. Anyway, for those who watch the show, they'd love John. He's been on twice. I think he's our most popular guest because he's been back twice. Number 3, you got to have a why. I presume this is what it is. You got to have a reason to do what you do.
Yeah, totally. Because this is the piece, right? To make you better, you got to know what better is. And I just go, when you look at it and you go, if you don't get really clear on your why you want to be in that space or why you want to go there, then you never will. And I just go, this understanding of getting a really clear gut understanding of why you're going to do something and then really believing in that why is half your battle.
How materialistic can your why be for it to be sustainable over time? Because you don't want to be changing every week.
Well, no, you shouldn't be. But just remember, your why needs to be the thing that is stronger than the why has to be stronger than the habits that you need to create.
Yeah, right. The pain
Yeah,
that you're
because
sitting yourself in.
if the why isn't stronger than that, you'll get distracted, you get pulled away from it. So you've got to really make sure that what you're aiming for or what you want to do is really what you want to do, because then you will actually make the change of habits and actually start doing the things that lead you to where you want to be.
I understand. Very good. Number 4, set your goals and your targets. We talk about this all the time. I really don't like goal setting. I don't. I like wider targets. And I don't know whether that's me giving myself the space to be maybe a little bit, what do we call it? Nimble among my business plans and systems and processes means I can be a bit more flexible, create a bit more space for not being as hard at it. What do you reckon?
100%. I know exactly how much I need to generate each month. So with that number on the wall, I know exactly what it needs to be, and I know that the work level that's required to get to that number. And if I don't do the work, guess what?
You don't get the number.
And this is where the piece is. It's not rocket science here. It's like you've got to start setting some clarity of goals of what you want to achieve, and then actually be accountable to actually achieving them. Because if you've set a goal and you don't achieve it and you go, oh, well, it doesn't matter. Well, what the hell set the goal in the first place? Like, why actually strive for it? So actually go, you know what? This is something that I really want to achieve. And I look at it from the point of view, and I'll give you a good example here. I was working with a client this week, and basically we worked out that they had 8 years between now and when they want to retire. And I said to them, hey, if you were to retire in 8 years, based on the performance that you've had over the last 4 years, would you be in a position to be able to retire? And what do you reckon their answer was?
No.
No. So I said,
they think they've still got time, and they're going to just pull out. Maybe they're averaging 150 grand a year or 100 grand a year, and they think that sometime they're going to get serious and pull out a $500,000 a year, and that's going to make everything better. And then they'll just say thank you, leave their mouse on the desk, and walk out.
Guess what?
Not going to happen.
Never happens.
No.
Right? And this is the piece where you go, you got to get clear on this, because the thing that you burn when you don't have these goals and these targets and these purposeful things that you're aiming at is you burn time.
And you can't get it back.
No way.
We all know you can't get it back. So with your goals and targets,
yeah,
let's talk about financial goals versus activity goals.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I know where you lean towards this. You're a financial goals guy, but there will be listeners amongst ours that are maybe either starting a business and they've got to achieve other things. 20 calls a day.
Yeah.
20 calls a day. This girl that I was talking about earlier, 80 calls a day, Darren.
Wow.
And she's got it on the wall and she's marking them off.
Wow.
I should have taken a photo and sent it to her. We could have given her an award. We should actually start a cold calls award. Who's doing the most cold calls a month?
Okay, I'll tell you what, if you can remember and find out who she was, I'll give her 20 minutes of my time to help her with those calling scripts for free. If you're doing 80 calls,
she is.
Well, then offer it. I'll do it for you for free. Because
Jessica, Darren's coming for you.
Yep. Because if you're doing 80 calls, right, you get that script right and you will absolutely change your business within a month.
Yep.
Right. And this is the best part about this is you set some goals like that, the activity goals, and actually do it, you absolutely will change your result within a month.
Let's do it. Good. But we didn't get to the bottom. Financial goals versus non-financial goals and targets.
Personally, I reckon you've got to have both. And you've got to have some financial goals that keep you on track around activity and, getting deals across the line and making sure so you've got some clarity there. But I think you've also got to have some other goals that are not financial that actually get you to do things in your life that are good for you or that you want to achieve. And jumping out of a plane doesn't have to be a financial goal. It just means that, hey, that's on your bucket list of something you want to achieve and you can do that. So just being able to set some targets or things you want to achieve, I think it doesn't just have to be money. It can be all sorts.
Yeah, I was thinking more along the lines of, say, call volumes or conversation volume, then you can put that in a formula up against your
Yeah.
financial volume, and
Yeah.
then you can work out whether your actual conversations are any good or not. So you can then have that self-improvement. Because
Yeah.
I'm sort of I take a bit to get going, but when I get going, I've got steps in every path, or there's a measurement in every step, so I can go back and see which bit's failing.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's
I can
activity.
measure
Like
it.
your activity goals, yeah, is great. Like that there funnels into your financial goals, which is great, right? All I'm saying is to be able to have some other goals, which could be I'm going to run a half marathon, or I'm going to, go out and have dinner with my family once a month, or I'm gonna. So those goals and targets still apply in this category, right? But
Mm.
it allows you to have, some real purposeful planned things that you want to achieve. And when you put them down and actually go for them, chances are you'll actually do it.
Yeah, very good. Next one, start small.
Yeah.
Small goals and targets. Is that what we're talking about here?
No, it's actually taking small steps.
Yeah, right.
So, so the big one that I do talk about here is, and especially when it comes to these goals and aspirations that some people have, just sometimes you have to actually start making small steps towards it, right? To
Mm.
change your life and to become, hugely changed and disciplined overnight is actually unrealistic.
Mm.
So one of the things that I say is actually start setting those goals and then start taking small steps every day towards that. And I think that's just a really good, healthy approach that mentally you take a little bit of pressure off yourself on the basis that you don't have to knock over the big numbers, but you actually are moving yourself towards, making your life better based out of those small steps every day. To be honest, I've actually got my head around that a lot more lately. When I sort of say to people, you got to do 10 calls, you get that funny look. And I must say, I go, oh, for God's sake, 10 calls is nothing. But that's just because I've got my headspace into going 10 calls is nothing. They're liking, that 2 or 3 calls is a really challenge. So I just get them to go on the journey of 4 calls, 5 calls, 6 calls a day. Then it's 8 calls. And then all of a sudden they're doing 10 and going, 10's easy, and then you're up to 85, and that's the cool journey that you can go on. But I think it's really acceptable and okay to put those small steps in place.
And of course, you'd be well across the episode with Tanzel, where we had to
Yes.
fly solo, and he had some great advice saying that, if you're procrastinating and not getting going, just give yourself, I'm going to do this task for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And start doing it. And
Yeah.
then what actually happens is once you start, then you'll find out that, all of a sudden 10 or 15 minutes has gone past, and you're like, okay, I think I can go for another 15 minutes, and
Yeah.
then you get going. The other thing I like to do is I like to start close.
Nice.
Right, so if you're struggling to get going and you're a little bit tentative, you're not sure what direction to go, start small, but also start with the people who are close to you, like the
Yeah.
people who you can trust.
Nice.
Not that there are humans out there just waiting for their phone to ring so they can abuse a cold caller. That's not actual human nature. But you're gonna be more likely to start if you start with someone you know is not going to burn you. Risk free. On your retreat last year, and anyone who's thinking about going to Darren's retreat, you need to get along to it. It was fantastic. You had the guy, I think it was Jono, who said when he has to make his 20 calls a day, and that's what he does, sometimes he can get to 17 and he won't have people any more numbers to call. So what he actually does is he calls his family so that he still ticks off 20.
Yeah.
Right, so he doesn't drop the habit of, I can just get away with doing 17 today, and then the next day it'll be 15, and the next day it's 13, and then all of a sudden the whole business has fallen over. He goes, no, I make sure that I make 20 calls a day.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just happens to be my brother, sister, cousin, whatever, and get it done. So I think that's a great piece of advice too.
Yep. Yep, love it. I
Number 6?
me and John. No, I'm just going to tell you this. Me and John Shack have this. We have this conversation quite often because there's, the guy David Goggins,
Yes.
and one of the things he talks about is just put your shoes on, right? And the ability of, whatever's going on in your head. Like if you've got to go for a walk, you want to do some exercise, whatever's going on in your head, just accept that it's going on in your head, but just put your shoes on, right? So you just put your shoes on. So whatever's going on in your head, you just go, I'm just going to go out to the front door. So you go out to the front door. What is going? No, look, it's cold out here today. I think I might leave my run today. And all you do is just say, I'm just going to go to the letterbox. So you just walk out to the letterbox. And when you're getting towards the letterbox, you just say, I'll just go to the corner, right? And all of a sudden you're playing a trick on your head because your head's going, look, you don't have to do this. Let's go back to the couch. It's warmer inside. Let's just go and do something else. You actually just accept that that's the noise in your head, but you're still going to do what you set out to do. And I think that one also, when you start doing small steps, is just to get control of that sense that, hey, you don't have to do this right now, and just accept that's a noise, but you just put your shoes on. And I think that's a real powerful message, which really, really helps you start to put all of that conversation in your head into a clear box.
Yeah, and I think that ties into the next point too, number 6. Motion takes over from emotion. And
go on, tell us about this, mate.
I love this. So if you can get moving, and this is the way the human body's wired, and I know that you're all into David Goggins, and that's welcome to YouTube 2020, fantastic. But there's a new guy that you got to get onto.
Of course, yeah,
and his
name's
Ian Huberman.
Right.
And he's actually like a professor from Stanford or one of those. And he's all about human performance and food and all that sort of stuff. And he says the moment that you're feeling anxious about something, so the times, Darren, when you say to people, you've got to make 20 calls and they get that sick in the guts feeling, the human body is actually attuned that if you get up early in the day before you actually eat and give yourself a really hard workout, like physical workout, your anxiety and response to those moments throughout the rest of the day will be reduced by almost 60 to 70%.
Love it. Yep.
And so the power of exercise isn't just for losing weight and getting getting yourself healthier and fitter. It's actually conditioning your body to deal with stress.
Love it.
And stress and emotions is what puts people in a pause. And then they get stuck in that quagmire of guilt because, hey, I didn't get done what I needed to get done, and now I feel bad about not doing it. And then you get to dinner time, you're like, oh my God, it's dinner time. I can't call anyone now. So even if I was motivated, I can't. So then you go to bed, and then you think about it while you're at night, so you don't sleep properly. So you wake up the next morning and your stress levels are already heightened beyond where they should be after a good night's sleep because you didn't get one. And it just becomes this self-perpetuating knot of disaster.
So let me. You're so right, because I'm just going to get you to go to number 7 now, which is embrace discomfort, right? So because this topic fits with that whole piece, right? Is your ability to embrace that discomfort and actually get that feeling of, hey, sometimes this stuff isn't easy. Sometimes this is challenging. Sometimes this is awkward, right? But the ability for you to be able to embrace that sense of discomfort, being able to say, actually, I am going to get some motion in place here and I'm going to move. I'm going to take on getting myself to move in a direction. It actually does help you overcome that feeling and that discomfort feeling. And I think those two go together really well.
Yeah, and I also think it's beyond exercise too. It's the act of actually doing. And this is probably more to the point where I'll put my hand up. 3 or 4 weeks ago, I'd come back from being away, had to get going, and then Easter had sort of interrupted. I have every excuse in the world why things weren't right for going forward now, but and sort of got stuck. But the moment that you just actually say, you know what? The Tansel trick, I'm just going to call people for 10 minutes. I'm just going to call one person. Then it becomes 2. Then it becomes 10. And then you start having meetings with everyone. Now I'm looking at my calendar. We'll go back to Darren's famous calendar test. My calendar's looking better than it's ever looked. and you feel
Yeah.
good about it. And you go, you know what, I'm getting busy. And then you start getting this FOMO of, hold on a minute, mid-July, the calendar's looking a bit bare. I want to get some things into there. And you just start building it out as you go. And you have this 6-week buffer of business.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, all the stress just sinks away. You feel good about yourself because you're up and about. You're meeting people. You're having great conversations. It's all
Love it.
working and responding. And that motion removes all the emotion.
Yeah, you got
Fantastic.
it.
So
It's
you've got to
great.
eradicate that discomfort. And I also think if I was to look back at my business, that the times when I was the fittest and doing exercise, I was also making the most money.
Most money. Yep, love it.
Times when I was swimming in the afternoon, it was a beautiful thing that I had going, Darren, because I used to pick the kids up from school. And so all the way through primary school, and there's a beautiful outdoor pool just near the primary school. So I always used to leave a little bit early, 2:15,
Yeah,
swim for 45 minutes to an hour, get
love
out, pick the kids up at 3:30, have my lunch as soon as I got home from dropping the kids at school, and then go back to work.
it. Love it.
But
How cool is that?
that was my time out, and I was fit, and I used to do all my thinking in the pool.
Nice.
It was great. No distractions. Number 8, get a coach or mentor.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about this a bit more lately, and I can see how important now getting that coach or a mentor or somebody in your world that actually gives you the chance to discuss, plan, and come to some conclusions that you then act on. So to have a coach or a mentor or somebody that goes, why? What are you doing that for? How did that happen? Why did you do that? No, I don't think so. Tell me a bit more about that. And it really gets you to actually get some understanding of the decisions you actually should be making, and that helps you make you better, right? And I just keep coming back to that concept of having that ability to talk to somebody who's been there or done it or seen it, or you've got confidence in their advice that actually helps you move in the direction you want to go.
Yeah, I like the idea of a coach and a mentor, but I like another idea better. And you discussed this in, it must have been one of the early episodes of season 1. And it's your unofficial board.
Yeah.
So you treat yourself like a business, and you find people in your circle that you trust who have been where you have been, and you assign them to your own almost board of your business. And whether it's monthly or bi-monthly, whatever it is, you make sure that you take them out for dinner or whatever it is, and you get in a room and you open the books, you let them show them under the hood of everything, and you say, give me my 360-degree feedback.
Help me. And as soon as you get that, as soon as you start doing this, and you've got that team of people or a couple of people that are your mentors or your coaches or your board, you all of a sudden will start to have a whole lot of insights about where you're at, but also you'll feel accountable, but you also then will celebrate your successes. And I do this with teams all the time. I mean, I was in a session on Wednesday, and that's exactly what we did. We had a high performing real estate office that didn't have the structure that I felt we needed. So we went and put a board in place. We put a CEO in place. We put a general manager in place. And we then started to get some real clarity about what those roles were. And what that did was it actually started to mean that the business was going to have good structure to be more successful. And for me, as the coach or the mentor that was helping them with that, it was a great way for me to bring a whole lot of value. And make them a bit more accountable. Even though they're really successful now, they're amazing. It was a great opportunity for us to start building a better business. And that's why I say, like, getting a coach or a mentor nowadays, especially for the businesses we deal with, I think it's a must-have. It's not a like-to-have now. And you've just got to get out there and find someone that fits and meets your needs.
Yeah, and I think the board concept is a great way to do it if you can't afford a coach and a mentor. Like,
Yeah,
if
totally.
just starting out.
Yeah.
There's going to be people who want to help. Look, Darren's offered to help with Jessica. You never even met her.
Well, you just go if someone is that committed to doing that and being, then just to have someone who can just spend 20 minutes with her to go, hey, focus on this, do this. If you're doing that level of calls, make sure you do this. And all of a sudden, that support and that help just gives her a little bit more direction to be more successful. And for me, isn't that what you and me do? Isn't that our job? Is where we see that? And I certainly believe in what goes around comes around, and if you can support enough people, people support you. So I think it's just part of what we do and how we work.
Yeah, I agree. All right, number 9, the final one. Stay committed.
Yeah, well, I just go, a lot of the times there's a lot of people that give up just before they're going to have the success, right? And I just go, and I must admit, I have always had this belief that the next phone call was the big opportunity, so why not just make it? Or the next meeting is the big opportunity, so why don't you just go and do it? Or the next client is going to help you find the next big opportunity, so why don't you go and do it? So that you always stay committed that there is the next opportunity is going to take you on a different journey and teach you more and develop you more and make you a better person. So why not just stay committed to that and just realize that this is your journey and you stick at it.
Yeah, I think it really, in my mind, I'm a visual sort of guy, takes you to that gold miner cartoon.
Yeah. Yes. 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 Yes.
They've dug the tunnel, and they're like, I'm just about to give up. But you can see in the cartoon that they're literally one more swing of the pick away from finding the biggest gold nugget on the planet.
Ever. Yep.
Yeah.
And they're making the decision that we've done so much, we've got nothing. Maybe we should just walk away.
And I think this is when we go back to the other point. If you've got a board, if you've got people who are experienced about it, they're
Yep.
going to know when you've exhausted it. They're
Yep.
going to know if you're digging in the right direction or not.
Totally.
And, sometimes you think you've done everything.
Yeah. Yep.
Really, you've probably only done a third.
Yep.
Because you're limited by your own beliefs. You're limited by what you know. You're limited by what your family upbringings taught you about things.
Very good.
For me, I'm essentially the first person in my family to ever just run their own business. My mum's still a staunch believer that you can't run your own business. It just doesn't work. But from her background, she was a school teacher for 42 years.
There you go.
So what does she know? She's limited by her own experiences and beliefs.
And that's why once you've made these commitments to yourself, you absolutely can make your life better. You absolutely have the ability to do this, to take control and actually be the person that actually makes the decision to make a change for the rest of your life. And I think that was one was last week, and I was listening to it. The person said that when you make a decision today, it could improve the rest of your life, and we make these decisions every day. So I just go, when we look at this list here, and we debated this and to put this together, I just go, these key things here. Every day we see people that we know, if they just put this stuff in place, the outcome for them will be amazing.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think people overcomplicate it. These are pretty simple steps. These 9, and we'll have a download.
Well, yeah, they might be simple, mate, but you go through you think about it. You go through those 9 things with most of the people that we come into contact with. They're not doing any of them, but you said to me they're simple. So why aren't I doing them?
Why aren't they doing them? And this is the thing, because they get stuck in the mud. I mean, I find it with social media, right? So they sit there and you say, okay, you've got no stock, you've got no leads, no one knows about your business, no one knows that you've just opened a florist around the corner, all that sort of stuff. You've got no real budget because you're a bootstrap startup, or you don't do social media because your business has never done it before. That's a classic line.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. You keep spending all your money on TV for the shrinking audience. We'll let that go. But they're sitting there saying, well, oh, I've tried social media and it didn't work. Oh, yeah, well, what did you do? Well, I posted a couple of videos and I posted a couple of posts, off Canva.
Yeah.
What, you reckon 4 to 6 weeks of posting is going to buy your way into a golden fortune? Like, if you're on social media now, you've got to earn your way in. The golden era of 2013 and 14, where if you
Gone.
just posted, you got the response, gone. You've actually got to be smarter about it and win people over. So you've actually got to embrace the discomfort of the fact that when you're posting stuff, you're not going to get the responses that you want. You're not going to get the views and the vanity statistics that you crave so you can flex in front of your friends. You've actually got to do the work. And I think at the end of the day, if you follow all this stuff, it really comes down to working smarter.
Yeah.
This framework is the 9 steps to working in a smarter way to get you different results to what you're getting today.
Yep, 100%. And look, you and I, the more we go down this path of, researching and looking at this content and, developing the insights for these, the more we start to go, some of the clarity that we get out of this is like, man, this is the stuff, if we can put this in place in our own environments, we get a better result every day. And, this is a really good topic, mate, and I just think it's something that to grab hold of, and for our listeners to have a good hard reflection on where they're at with it, and actually be committed to making some real good decisions and moving their lives forward is a great way to get a better result. So great topic.
The great thing about this podcast is, for me anyway, is the accountability. Like, I'm doing a podcast and then I catch myself in a funk and I just look through the episodes and go, I just need to get a little bit of that, and I'll just re-watch it. And once I get over the surprise that I actually sound coherent and making sense, I'm like, wow, who's that smart dude? And then here's another smart dude from over in New Zealand. And then I think, wow, this all makes sense, and it's actually not that complicated. So let's just do it.
So good, mate. Real cool. Great podcast today, mate. That's really cool stuff, and I think, considering where the world is, I think it's a great place for us to finish off.
Yep, and if you agree with Darren that this was a great episode, please don't forget to leave a review, particularly if you're listening via Apple Podcasts. That's the one that really gives us a kick upwards. We're getting some great numbers. We've broken through some milestones I noticed the other day from our platform hosts. They're sending us messages, so things are growing, things are moving. We've just got to stay committed, and the Blink podcast will be everywhere soon. The greatest #1 podcast somewhere between Australia and New Zealand. That's another episode. We're wrapped up. I appreciate your time.
So, Jonathan, one of the things I just saw was for the next series, we've now got, I think we've got 3 or 4 or 5. There's probably 5 questions from our listeners. So what I think of our next podcast, why don't we just do these 5 questions and we'll make that happen?
Why not? Say, guys, if you've got a problem in your business,
a
problem that you're struggling with or wrestling with, just send it to us. We'd love to explore it.
Let's do these 5 next time, and then we can keep pushing it. And if you, the listeners, have got some questions or are unsure about something, give us a yell.
Is that the cake being made, the birthday cake being made in the background, Darren?
It is. How did you know?
I think that is the sign to go. Jules has waited long enough. She wants to make that cake. Thanks for watching, guys. It's been a pleasure to be sharing this time with you, and look forward to seeing you again next time. Peace.